Shalom, family. Well, here I am back again for another session. Today's session is going to be called Hidden in Plain Sight. And I'm going to be coming out of Matthew chapter 2. I'm going to do 1 through 23. But before I get started, I want to talk about something. One of the things that I want to talk about is basically how we sit up and we get used to hearing what the pastor says, and we hear it over and over again, or we could have read the verse over and over again, and it means something to us one time, but we could read it later on and it'll be opened up to mean something totally different. Not saying it's way off from what we got the first time, but it's more in depth the second time. Let me put it like that. This has happened to me in several occasions where I've read, and either another pastor could have actually brought it to the light for me. Majority of the times, though, it is the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the Holy Spirit, that brings it to light for me. Now, one thing I've been doing lately is I've been praying to and let the Ruach HaKodesh know, listen, you were left here to be a comforter to us. You were left here to bring us into all truth. You were left here to basically tell us about Yeshua, and you seem like you don't got kind of relaxed on your job. I'm going to need you to hop on your job and do what you're supposed to do. Now, the Bible tells us to ask you and we shall receive. So that's what I've been doing. I've been asking. And with the asking, I'm going to need you to do some responding and let me know that what I'm missing. Give me the mysteries that are in the word that a lot of us tend to overlook. And so lately, since I've been searching, it's just been opening up more and more on things that I had not paid attention to before. See, when the Bible says that there's nothing new under the sun, that is a true statement. Then think about the fact that Yeshua said that he didn't come to destroy the law. He came to fulfill the law. Now, when you hear that, you don't understand to the full depth of what he meant when he said he came to fulfill the law. Now, is this the first time you probably going to hear me say this? No. Because each time that he lets me know that he fulfilled something, I'm going to let you know on what he fulfilled. So we're going to go in Matthew, like I said, chapter 2. We're going to start at verse 1 and we're going to work our way down and we're going to see what it is that Yeshua was fulfilling during that time. And this started pretty much at his birth, like day one. He just started fulfilling some stuff. So let's go through it and find out and see what was going on. Now, when Yeshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Now, I know every year y'all hear this story. They call it the nativity story. Y'all hear this all the time. And there's a lot to that story that's so not real. Let me put it like that. They've added in their own stuff. Just like they do whenever they're telling you about Adam and Eve and they tell you that Eve ate an apple when the Bible don't say that she ate an apple. There's a lot of things that they just decide to add into your imagination to fill in the blanks for you when there's no need to do that. Allow his word to speak for itself. You don't need to add and you definitely don't need to take away from his word. So when we think of the wise men, most often to us, within the Bible, they're known as sorcerers. But these wise men were different. What made them so different? I will prove to you that these men were different. Think about in the book of Daniel, during the time of King Nebuchadnezzar. He took over Jerusalem during that time. The king ordered that certain children of Israel be kept to work for him. Daniel was one of those children during that time. Daniel was appointed ruler over the whole province of Babylon. and the chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. So I know you question, like, why is she taking me to Daniel? And what is it about Daniel that has to do with this story that we're in Matthew? Okay, remember in Matthew, they talked about wise men, or magi, as you called them back then. And I told you, Daniel was over the wise men. During the time that Daniel was over the wise men, they weren't watching everything that Daniel was saying. They weren't watching what he was teaching unto the other wise men. They just knew Daniel was very wise. They knew that they had changed his name. So to them, he felt like one of them. Even though he never stopped worshiping Elohim. No matter where they put him at, he still gave Elohim worship. So when he was over the wise men, he taught the wise men the things of Elohim. So you got men who were during that time that passed down this knowledge that Daniel was teaching them, because he was wise. Why? Because he was getting it from up above. So knowing that he was once over the wise men, they knew what they were supposed to be watching for whenever it came down to looking at the stars, because Daniel himself knew that the story was in the stars. See, they don't teach you that in your science book. But do you not think that your scientists don't already know that the story is in the stars? Yes. They teach you something totally different than that Elohim is in the stars. That Yeshua is definitely all in the stars. When I'm talking about so deep into the stars, the whole story is about him. But the world teaches you that in the stars, it pertains to you. You are in the stars. If all you got to do is find out what your birth chart is, and find out and see what your zodiac sign, even the zodiac signs ain't even got nothing to do with you. But this is how corrupt the world is, and this is how deep the deception go. Now, one day I'm going to do a teaching on those, but it's so deep, it's going to take me quite a few segments to get it all out. But let's get back to where we were. While he was over them, he taught them about the up and coming king and what to look for. These men taught others and passed down the knowledge of the coming king of the Jews. This is why they knew what to be looking for. In verse 3, when Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ shall be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet. And thou Bethlehem in the land of Judea, not the least among the prince of Judea. For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Why do you think Herod was troubled? He was troubled because he was in a place he wasn't supposed to be in. He was ruling over Jerusalem at that time. He wasn't supposed to be over Jerusalem. Now, if you say you got a king of the Jews that don't came into play, hold on. That puts my job in jeopardy. This can't be. There's nobody going to push me out of an area. What king you know that's going to just let somebody come in and push them out of the area? During the time when Saul was king over Israel, and he found out that somebody else was going to be king besides him, that the crown was going to be ripped away from his household, first thing he started doing was looking for who God could have actually appointed to be the next king. And he had a strong feeling. And from that strong feeling, he started to pursue after that person. There is no king who want to be taken out of his kingship. It's just the way that it is. So this is the reason why he was troubled. He was troubled by finding out that there was a king of the Jew out there. And it would change his rulership. Herod summoned experts to learn where the Old Testament said that Messiah would be born. Now, why is it that even though the wise men came and told Herod about the birth of the king of the Jews, that the Pharisees and the scribes, they weren't concerned? They weren't worried about it at all, actually. Even though they knew the scripture. But for some strange reason, they act like they didn't think scripture was going to ever be fulfilled, or that it was ever coming. Sometimes when you're waiting on something for a long time, you think it will never come to pass. Or if it does come to pass, it probably won't even come to pass in your lifetime. You see, the wise men knew the star. They knew what the star meant. But they didn't have a location until the chief priests and the scribes told them what was written about his birth. And you can find that in Micah 5:2. But think about it, how they say they saw the star. They knew to look for the star. They knew once this star appeared, then that king that Daniel had talked about was being born. Can you believe this was foretold in Revelation? See, when you get in Revelation, you think Revelation is talking about what is pretty much always going on right then. No, Revelation has also a tendency of dropping in periodically to bring truth about what's going on in Revelation. It's not going to all go on at that one set time. Certain things in Revelation has come to pass, but majority of it has not. So, one thing that has already come to pass, which happened in Revelation 12:1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. You want to know what day this happened on? The day of Yeshua's birth. This is what was going on in the skies, people. That was so amazing to the wise men that it made them get up, pack their stuff, and prepare to leave, to go so that they could worship this king. It was the king that Daniel had been talking about so long ago. It has finally come to pass. That what we've been searching for in the stars, we are seeing it come to pass. We are going to be there, you guys. Let's go. They were excited to be able to go and see the king. So just know that already happened. It was some other stuff that's already happened too that you just don't know that already happened. But I'm not going to go deep into Revelations because I want to keep y'all in Matthew to bring this point, to bring it on home where we need to take it at. Now we're going to read on. We're going to start in verse 7. Then Herod, when he had privy called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. Oh, didn't he sound like he was so sincere about what he was saying? Deep in his heart, he did not want to worship this new king. That was a lie. But he felt like if he put it off good enough, that the wise men would believe him, like, wow, he want to worship him just like we do. Okay, cool. Thanks for giving us the destination. We off. Herod wanted to know the exact time that the Magi saw the star in the sky, because he was trying to figure out approximately how old this child was. Herod informed the wise men to let him know once they found him so that he could come and worship also. He didn't want to come worship. He wanted to come do something to that child, because that child posed a threat to him, posed a threat to the throne, what he was holding at that point in time. No. So there was no way he was going to let that come to pass. So he had to play nice nasty and let them know, listen, once you find a child, just let me know. In verse 9, when they had heard the king, they departed. And lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. Notice that they said he was a young child. See, when you see the nativity story, or when we show it, when they do it all in church and stuff, what do they always have Yeshua portrayed as? As a babe in a manger. When the wise men made it there. That ain't true, people. That ain't true. I'm here to tear down those walls. I'm sorry. That's not what was going on when the wise men made it there. He was a young child walking. when they made it there. He was not somebody that was being held in Mary's arms at that time. That wasn't going on. It sounds good. It paints a beautiful picture of an innocent child. But that's not how he was when they made it there. When they saw the star, they renounced. When they saw the star, they rejoiced. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy, because they understood what the star meant. They understood, we have arrived. We finally made it to where the child is. This is the anointed one. This is the king that we've been looking for. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. Luke 2 informs us that the child was born in a stable. But by the time the Magi made it to him, the child was a little older, at least about 2. And they were living in a house. The Magi didn't find them in no stable. They had been there for a while. Why would you still be hanging out in a stable when all you needed was a place for her to have the child at that point in time? There was no need to stay there. There wasn't room in the inn because they were coming during tax time. They were coming in order to pay tax like what they were supposed to. But once that time was over with, everybody went back to their destinations, and it left room and it left an area for them to be able to stay. So they were no longer in the stable. There was no need for that. It was just a housing area for that moment. So trust and believe, that's not what they were. And a lot of times we think that they were only 3 because of the gifts that they brought. The word does not say that. It says wise men. It could have been a slew of them. And they could have brought a bunch of gold. They could have brought a bunch of frankincense. They could have brought a bunch of myrrh. Because that what they brought to them was things for kingship, royalty. And it was to sustain the parents while they were there. Because one thing about it, when God takes care of you, he provides all your needs. In verse 12, it says, and being warned of God, and being warned of Elohim in a dream, that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. So they were headed back to where they came from, but they went a different direction. Why? Because Elohim warned his father in a dream. Sorry, not his father. He warned the wise men in a dream at this particular time. Don't want to jump ahead of the story. He warned the wise men in a dream, don't go that way. Don't return unto the king, because the king doesn't have good thoughts about his child. So they decided to take a longer route in order to get back to their home. And when they were departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. And when he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt. Now, notice that the angel appeared to Joseph in a dream. Let's highlight that part first. When I said that there's nothing new under the sun, when I said that Yeshua said he came to fulfill, not to destroy, let's take you to an area of where he was fulfilling. If you think about it, think long and hard. His father's name was Joseph. What other Joseph can you think about from the Bible? Exactly. Israel's sons. And Joseph was Israel's son. He was the one that dreamed dreams. He was also the one who helped bring his people who helped save his people during the time of famine. And where did he bring them to? Egypt. Wow. He brought Israel and his children and their children and their children's children into Egypt. Elohim told Joseph, Elohim sent an angel to tell Joseph in a dream to flee to Egypt. Wow. Flee to Egypt. Because right then and there, Egypt was a safe haven. It was a safe haven for Israel's children during that time. Why? Because it was a famine going on. It was a safe haven for Joseph and Mary and Yeshua during that time, because they were being searched and hunted down by Herod. That's not the only thing in that passage that shows you fulfillment. Let's go to the next section. Notice that he said, take the young child and his mother. He highlighted that Yeshua was not Joseph's biological child, that he was sent by Elohim himself. It didn't speak of another man. Actually, it didn't go deep into the spirit, but it was highlighting that I know that he's not yours. Now, he said, call Mary his mother. Never said, take your son, take your child. Never said that. He said, take the young child and his mother and depart into Egypt. That's what he said to him. But in the scripture beforehand, when the angel came to Mary, you will find out that she was told exactly who she would be carrying and how it would end up happening. That the spirit will come upon her. And that's how she will be with child. Now, fleeing into Egypt. This is where Joseph was taken to be sold. He was sold into Egypt. After Joseph's death, what ended up happening to the Israelites? They also became slaves. Slaves in Egypt. The word says that Herod will seek the child to destroy him. Can you believe Herod is a representation of Pharaoh? Pharaoh treated the young children badly. Very badly. He was the one who oppressed the Israelites. Herod didn't treat the Israelites all that well while he was king over them. And hearing about anybody else becoming king, that didn't make him a happy camper. So he looked for ways to change that. We're going to go on to verse 15. And was there unto the death, and they were there unto the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. The calling of the son out of Egypt is in Hosea 11 as a reference to Israel's exodus from Egypt. The Spirit is revealing Yeshua as the new Moses, who will lead a new and climatic exodus. He's going to lead the exodus for us during his second coming. This is what we are waiting on, people. We are waiting for our exodus out of Egypt. Some people call it Babylon. I mean, that was during Herod's time. But we basically are in Egypt. They are both a symbolization of the same thing. Just as Moses delivered his people from slavery, so will Yeshua deliver us from slavery. Moses was Moses delivered his people from Pharaoh. Yeshua will deliver us from Satan. Both Joseph and Moses were chosen by God to save his people, and so was Yeshua. In verse 16, then Herod, when he saw that he was marked by the wise men with exceeding wrath, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and all the coast thereof, for 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, in Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted, because they are not. Pharaoh did the same thing around the time of Moses' birth in Exodus 1:15-22. Ancient Jews thought of Moses as a deliverer, but Yeshua is the promised deliverer who will save his people from sin. Like I say, notice the similarities in the two. Verse what happened during Moses' time, what happened during Joseph's time, and what happened during Yeshua's time. Yeshua's still working out the things that he has to do through us, because it hasn't come yet for us to be saved that last time. Now, with Moses was only able to go so far because he allowed that fleshly self to kick in to keep him from the promised land. Yeshua was the only one who can actually fulfill the fulfillment of the promised land. So trust and believe it is going to be him that is going to deliver us. He's going to be the one that's going to save us. See, this is what I was telling you about. Whenever he said that he came to fulfill scripture, he was doing it to a T. You got the time of Joseph, that happened to be his dad, that happened to be the area where the Lord was speaking to him also through dreams to let him know of what he needed to do in order to protect the child. You got Moses, who was the deliverer of the people out of Egypt during that time. Now you got Yeshua, who is on the scene and getting ready to deliver us as well. In verse 19, then when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. And he arose and took the young child and his mother and came into the land of Israel. But when he had heard Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither. Notwithstanding, being warned of God in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And when he had come and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene. Herod's son was just as violent as his father, and he would have finished what his father had started. So before they made it to Judea, God warned Joseph in a dream of the present danger. Now let's think about these names, because I want to highlight an extra person on the scene that you probably didn't pay no attention to. Well, two extra people actually. Think about Nazareth. They talked about the prophet saying that he would be in Nazareth and he would be known as a Nazarene. We're going to highlight those two first. Okay, the root word for Nazareth is Nazarah. Nazarah means the guarded one. And if you notice, you don't hear much about Yeshua's childhood anymore after he goes into Nazareth. You don't hear about him again until he pretty much gets older. Unless you go into a few of the other books that probably do talk about him being a child. But we're just talking about this book right here where they keep it just a child. You don't hear from him again until he become an adult. But the area where he was raised at was known as the guarded one. Meaning he would be well guarded in that destination. Well hidden in that destination. Now, Nazarene, same definition. Same root word. Nazareth was also home of the priest. Yeshua is our high priest. And you will find this in Hebrews 5:5. Let's think about something else that has a similar root word. Nazarite. The root word for that is Nazar, meaning concealed and separated. See, you ever heard of the Nazarite vow? This is something that Samson had to take. Well, actually, it was taken by his mom before Samson was ever born. Another female who took the Nazarite vow was Samuel's mom. The two major things about those characters and part of the fulfillment part now. Listen. Samson was sent to save the people and deliver the people from the Philistines. That was his big ordeal. He was going to be great in battle. He was one who was empowered by God to deliver his people in battle. Yeshua is empowered to deliver us in battle. See, he already told us the battle ain't even ours, it's his. Sometimes we tend to take the battle on by ourselves when we shouldn't, instead of allowing Elohim to be Elohim. Now, Samuel was known as a great prophet. He stepped on the scene when the Lord decided to be silent. He didn't feel like talking about it. He didn't start talking again until Samuel was a child, but old enough to understand what was going on. And he was such a great prophet that the Lord used him. Remember, the mother gave him back to Elohim. After Yeshua did what he did, he was also given back to Elohim. When he told Mary and Martha, then when they came to the grave, don't touch me yet, because I have not ascended to the Father yet. He had to finish out some stuff. He had to go see his Father before he came back to finish off what he needed to do with us. So yeah, I'm showing you I'm alive, but I ain't done yet. This is the beautiful part about it. I mean, just out of chapter 2 alone was some amazing things. Things that as many times I don't read this, I had not paid attention to. Tell you the truth, as long as I've been sitting in church, I don't know a pastor that has brought these different things to light for me. That has made me see, okay, Yeshua was so strongly in the Old Testament. You got those certain people who don't believe in the New Testament. They believe only in the Old Testament and believe, majority of that New Testament is made up. It ain't real. It ain't real at all. There ain't no such thing as none of that. How? But you the same person who say you believe in Yeshua, though. You believe in Yeshua, but you don't believe in none of the stuff that was said about him. When majority of the stuff that Yeshua did was to fulfill that which was done in the old. The old, everything that was done. One of my kids asked me, which I had the same question when I was younger. Why is it that in the Old Testament, you only hear them talk about a few people? They highlight a few people. You hear them mention a lot of kids, but you don't never hear what happened within those kids' lives. I didn't understand it back then. But as I got older, I understood that Certain people was highlighted because they did something special that you needed to remember. I didn't know how deep that I needed to remember what was so special about what they did. And what they did was the same thing that Yeshua did all throughout the New Testament. He fulfilled the Old Testament to the T, all the way down to him becoming the Lamb, all the way down to the way that he was pierced, all the way down to the way that the sky was when it went dark. I mean, there are so many things in the Old Testament that we have not been paying attention to that lines up with everything that Yeshua did. We need to go back and read again, people. See, some people say start off in the Gospels before you go to the Old Testament. Then, because you need to know who Yeshua is before you go find out and see, what it was that they were saying that led up to Yeshua. Me, I didn't start from the new to the old. Actually, I started out in the old. The old, I love the Old Testament. It had a lot of crazy stuff that went on in the Old Testament. Don't get me wrong. But it was a lot of direction and correction that was in the old that showed you some stuff about how Elohim really felt, about what he expected of us. That's all in the old. Now, when you get in the new, you're in the era where they basically started corrupting what Elohim wanted us to do and how he wanted us to do it. They had been sieged and taken over so many times, and they stuff was so intertwined and mixed with pagan stuff. I don't even think they knew whether they was coming or going half the time. But they was trying. And I give them that. I give them, probably not an A for trying, but, I give them somewhere in the vicinity. They tried, which is basically what we're doing. A lot of our stuff is passed down knowledge, not really searched out knowledge. I'm not saying that people don't get in the word and don't search the word or don't even ask the Ruach HaKodesh to reveal unto them the things of God. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is majority of the people are not doing it. A lot of your people that say that they are for God, strongly for God, that's only teaching you prosperity. That's only teaching you that if you do it this way and that way, then this is going to come unto you. That's not so all the time. Yeshua say, regardless, you're going to have poor among you. Meaning you can't walk away from it. You can't, there will never be a moment during this day and time where you won't have them among you. It's just in certain sections. But you're going to have them. So you can't look past it. He talked about, always trying to reach for the riches of this world. It'll mess you up. Then, even though if you search and check out those people who are rich, who have a lot of things going for you, sometimes they're the most saddest people that you'll ever find. It is those who don't have much that find joy in the little things. I've learned to enjoy my little moments because I know my big moments are going to eventually come. Do I know when? No. But I do know I'm a part of the Lord's plan. And as long as I'm a part of the Lord's plan, and a strong part of that, I didn't realize that until I got older. I ran away from it when I was young because I didn't understand it. But as I got older, and the more and more I got older, and the more I seek, the more the enemy started searching and trying to come after me. I knew it had to be something about me. See, a lot of people don't know my walk. They don't know my story. If they knew my story, I probably would hear the same thing I hear majority of the time. How is it that you could have went through this and that and still be standing? How is it that you've been through this and that and you still believe? How is it that you still press? How is it that you can still lift up the next person knowing everything that you've been through? It's by the grace of Elohim and him alone. I have to give him glory because that's where my peace comes from. That's where my understanding comes from. That's where my joy comes from. See, at the moments when I could have been in a scared, destructive, down place, those are the main moments when he reaches down and picks me up. And he gives me newness and joy. Joy, unspeakable joy. See, there's a lot going on around me, but I'm not moved by what I see. Only by what I believe. See, I know that people can paint a very pretty picture. Throughout my life, I've seen it. I've seen people paint a lot. I've stayed among people who painted a pretty picture for those on the outside. Before I stayed with them, I did not know that their situation was as jacked up as it actually was. Because on the outside looking in, oh, it was looking lovely. I mean, you would smile at them as a couple, like, oh man, y'all seem like the perfect couple. But you go inside of those four walls, there is a totally different picture than what they was painting. You started seeing the paint peel. You started seeing cracks in the walls. You started to see there was some rotten areas within the wood. But people can paint such a pretty picture. They can put on this facade. I call it wearing masks. I remember I said to someone a long time ago, and this ain't the first person I don't say it to. I've said it to others too. We all wear masks. Some paint our masks to be glorious. And we keep it up while we're around other people. Because we don't want them to see truly how we are. Or that we can be real nasty if we wanted to. Or that certain people don't have love in their heart. Or that certain people are deceivers. Or that they're users. I mean, come on. Then they'll feed you that line. Everybody out there using somebody. Really? But it's not the way we're supposed to be. No matter which way you look at it, that's not right. I mean, if you got to say that to yourself to make it feel right, I'm sorry for you. That you got to sit up there and paint. You paint yourself a picture of yourself. And that's wrong. Right is right and wrong is wrong. When are we going to understand that we can't walk in wrongness? You need to walk in the newness of life. And understand that Yeshua has something different for you. Accept what Yeshua has for you. And be prepared. During this downtime that we got, we need to be prepared. Read your word. Pray. Fast. Get with groups of people and start calling on the Lord. Sing. Dance. Do everything that you have to do worship-wise to get back connected with the Lord. This is your best time that you can do that. Because when we are working or when we have so many distractions going on, that's the first excuse we'll use. Well, I don't have time to read my Bible because, my life is just so busy. I'm at work 8, 10, 12 hours out of the day. So I can't find those moments. Then when I do get in, then I got the family that's pulling on me. So by the time I finally get to open my word up, it's late at night and I'm tired and I never make it past the first 3 verses. It's sad. Why does he have to be an afterthought for you when he's supposed to be your first thought? If you make him your first thought, the rest of your day goes by smoothly. And these are things that I've been learning along the way. I have reconstructed my whole way of thinking, my whole way of doing stuff. And starting more and more each and every day to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And everything that I want, everything that I desire, I know those things will be added unto me. But they should never be my first priority. When I make those things, those people, those situations, my first priority, then now that person, that situation has therefore become my God. And I don't need to be worshiping a false God. That ain't something I need to be doing. Because man or female, whichever one you worshiping at that time, they're going to fail you. Some of us find out a lot faster than others. Some of us, it only takes us weeks. Or maybe even a couple of months to find out that person really ain't for you. Others, think about it. Others have been in it for years and find out, wow, you just really wasn't for me. This whole time you've been putting on a facade, waiting for the opportune moment for you to just drop me just as quick as a habit. Or waiting for me to be like an afterthought for you because you own to the next thing. Not saying the next thing is better for you. But that's your mentality. That's your way of thinking. See, it's called stinking thinking. That thinking don't work for you. You got to think right. You got to be able to rightfully divide. If you ain't rightfully dividing and you just listening to anything out there, you're not listening to sound doctrine anymore, but you got itching ears for anything that's out there. You need to recheck yourself and find out and see, where is it that you fell astray? Paul said, you ran a good race. But what hindered you? What made you stop running your race? Think back, people. If you start running the race, what is it that caused it? What was your first moment that made it happen? Was it a part of a deception that really wasn't a deception? That you were so ready for an out that you allowed it to be a greater deception than what you thought it was? Or was it a person? A person led you astray. They painted a picture for you and you was like, you know what? I'm in the wrong area. I need to be over there where you are. It just feels better. It makes my flesh feel good. Then that's where I need to be. What was it? Did you get tired of feeling like you were on the same old routine and making it seem like the ways of Elohim is structured and there's no joy in it? There's no fun in it? Is that what hindered you? Think over your life and find out what hindered you. Then you need to write down how much Elohim has actually been in your life. Now, see, you can try to put it off as, oh, it was the universe that did it. The universe was a part of my life. Oh, okay. Well, through Elohim, the universe is speaking right now too. Let's see if you can speak to the universe and have it realign for you back in right standing. Because you connected to the universe, right? See if what you say to the universe can change things for you. I ain't talking about change your situation or bring you wealth. I'm talking about a real miraculous miracle. Speak to the universe and calm the weather. Speak to the universe and make no more earthquakes come. Speak to the universe and during the time of rain, make it peaceful rain without thunder or lightning. I mean, this is the power that you claim that you hold. Let's see you act in it. But we both know you can't act in it if you ain't connected. Now, either you connected to the right spirit or you connected to the wrong spirit. And even being connected to the wrong spirit, that wrong spirit is going to fail you. Because it pulls away at a time when it feels like it don't even need you anymore. It will leave and go house another vessel. It's just the way that it is. And I'm going to end it on this note. Use this time to get into your word. Study to show thyself approved. You are a workman. There's no need for you to be ashamed of what you are studying or for anybody else to make you ashamed. You're doing this to rightfully divide the truth so that you can take out all the deception, but keep the truth. Not saying that the truth is out there that's going to lead you out to Satanism. That's been the way all along that we've been being deceived. No, shouldn't lead you, because when you get in those areas, you really lost. And you need to be found. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you. I thank you for each and every person that will watch this stream. I thank you that it will fall on good ground, Lord. That your word will take root and do exactly what it's supposed to do. Right now, I'm just here to plant a seed. My prayer is that the next person water it. That way, Elohim gets the increase. Lord, I thank you for your wisdom and your knowledge. I thank you for your awesome power. I thank you for watching over us during these rough times, Lord. Lord, I thank you for preparing us on the inside for the things that are coming ahead of us. Lord, allow us not to be chaotic with the world, but allow us to be wise so that we will know exactly what we're supposed to do for our family during this time, Lord. And as the time gets rougher, allow us to be in a safe haven until the moment when you call us back. That if we're supposed to be here during all the rough times, just like they were in Egypt, for you didn't pull them out before you sent those plagues. They were there until the very last plague, knowing that they had to be prepared and ready to go once the last plague came into play, because it was just that powerful. Lord, allow us to be ready and willing and prepared with our family, our full-fledged family in tow with us, to be able to make it to the destination that you want us to make it to before the great battle happens. Lord, open our ears so that we can hear what thus saith the Lord. Allow our hearts and our minds to stay on you, not on the things that are around us. Lord, allow us not to be moved by what we see, only by what we believe. And we believe in you, we trust in you, and we know that your word is true. Lord, I thank you for the Ruach HaKodesh that you left here to bring us into all truth. Lord, I thank you for your warrior angels and your guardian angels that you have watching over us each and every day, each and every moment. Lord, allow us every day to pick up the whole armor of God so that we can stand against the wiles of the devil. Lord, and as we get ready to go each and every day out in the midst of the battle, allow us to always be prepared, knowing that not only do you have our back, but you also go before us with this battle to make sure that we come out victorious. In Yeshua's name I pray. Amen. Shalom.